Welcome to the show, sports fans. This is the Treasure Valley Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.
That's right. Welcome in another edition of the Treasure Valley Prepcast on IdahoSports.com, where we are talking District 3 activities week in, week out. My name is Brandon Baney. We are joined by our District 3 expert, Logan Green. What's up, LG?
Hey, Brandon. Just getting ready for great weekend of sports around the state, including college, right? It's not just high school this week. Sorry, I just got to put on a nice hat here real quick. So, let me get Joe wants to join us today too. Joe
Joe
Vandal. In the shot? Here he is. Yep. There we go. Just kidding. Of course, I went to Idaho and Brandon likes Montana, so those two teams play this weekend, so we have to have a little trash talk, right? That's how it has to go.
I love it. So yes, Logan, if you are watching the video version of this on the IdahoSports.com YouTube channel or Facebook page, you'll see Logan had his Idaho Vandals hat on and his little plush toy of Joe Vandal. And what do we got there? John Freeze?
Yeah, little bobblehead.
Yeah. So yes, the Montana equivalent of all of that would be Grizz hat, Monty, the Montana Bear, and probably a bobblehead of Dave Dickinson, who won the 95 championship with the Grizz. So it is Montana at Idaho. Logan is a proud University of Idaho alum. I actually did not graduate from the University of Montana. I went there for a year and got 28 credits under my belt and thought
it counts.
You know what though?
Counts.
I found out recently that those credits do go away after a while. You don't just keep them in perpetuity. So
oh really?
I'd probably have to start back over at zero if I went back.
I've always wondered that, like, if I wanted to go back to get a different degree, do my credits already count, or do I need to redo it? I guess that's the answer. I guess I'd have to start over.
Yep.
Not that I'm looking to do that, but
yeah, neither one of us. My wife got her master's degree 2 or 3 years ago now, and so I just say, like, yep, in our house we have two college degrees.
They don't need to know.
I don't need to specify that she's got both of them and I did nothing, but I just coasted by on my good looks. But
yeah, I some people have to do that, Brandon. Some people need to do that.
That's right. So, but I did grow up in Missoula. We were season ticket holders when I was a kid, all the way through high school. We had seats in the front row of the north end zone, and my dad sold them when we were in high school because we were playing on Saturdays and stuff like that, so we couldn't go to the games anymore.
Did you like sitting on the front row, or would you rather be up higher?
No, I loved it because you're right there. You can lean over the railing and really get in the action, and it's great to be a kid and to do that. So, so obviously we both have a lot of pride in our institutions, Montana and Idaho. So, let's make a little bet, Logan.
Let's do it.
Okay. Here's the bet. All right. If Montana wins, you've got to buy. I liked your little Joe Vandal plushie there. If Montana wins, you've got to buy a little Montana bear and have him up.
Okay. And I'll buy the bear, and he'll be here with me.
And if the Vandals win, I will buy a Joe Vandal, and he will be prominently displayed behind me for all of the rest of the season. School year, even through the winter and into the spring.
It'll make you look good when we win the national championship. You'll be like, I've already been a Vandals fan. You see this here? Like, this isn't new. I've had this for a few weeks.
Right.
So it'll, people will just automatically think you are already on the train.
That's right. So there you go. That's the official wager. These two will play Saturday night on, is it ESPN2?
Yeah, I think so. But stage. It's a big stage, right? To have, there's a couple of Idaho kids on that team. Nick Romano played for Rocky Mountain, if you want to tie this back into high school, right? Couple of Idaho high school graduates that play there for the Vandals. Nick Romano, he was a stud there at Rocky Mountain, and he has been, Vandals backfield. They have so many weapons right now, and he is one of them. He's been returning kicks. He'll step in for Woods here and there, and great running back, and nice to see a Treasure Valley athlete starring on it. If you haven't watched Idaho, they are very good and I don't say this like from that's my team, obviously yes, but like they are fun to watch. A couple weeks ago, they were up on Cal 17-0. They beat Nevada from the Mountain West, the mighty Mountain West, apparently. And they're a good team, fun to watch, and so it'd be worth your time to watch that on Saturday night.
Yeah, Montana's got a couple of impact players from the state of Idaho. They're all North Idaho kids. Their starting right tackle is Brandon Casey from Sandpoint. Cale Edwards from Coeur d'Alene starts at defensive end, and then Noah Cashmitter from Grangeville also plays on the defensive line. So there's going to be some for those kids, North Idaho kids that chose Montana over Idaho, right? That's also
and to be honest, it wasn't a bad pick 2-3 years ago. I mean, it was the better choice. And recently with new coach Jason Eck, things have totally changed, and it's made it a destination, I think. So it'll be fun to see the Kibbe Dome on ESPN2 on Saturday.
Yep, and I can't wait. I can't wait for my Joe Vandal plushie.
Yeah, it's coming, Brandon. It's coming.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, you talked about the big stage for Montana and Idaho this weekend. We also had the big stage last week for state golf tournaments, Logan. Yeah. Also up here in North Idaho at the University of Idaho Golf Club in Moscow. That's where the 4A tournament was at. The Lewiston Country Club hosted the 5A state golf tournament. Boise sweeps everything. The Treasure Valley swept, I mean, everything, Logan. Your team champs. Boise boys for the 5A. Rocky Mountain girls at the 5A. Bishop Kelly swept the boys and girls team titles at the 4A level. And all of your individual champs also came from the Treasure Valley. Bo Saar from Eagle won the 5A state title on the boys' side. Ella Arnzen from Timberline won the girls' title. And then at the 4A level, it was Jackson Wright of Valley View winning the boys championship and Kara Carter from Bishop Kelly taking the girls title.
Yeah. And when you say that, the clean sweep, it really was a sweep, phenomenal play. But when you look at the individual efforts, right, at 5A, they came down to the last hole, right? It was a battle till the end. The 5A boys went into a playoff, a four-hole playoff. They tied the first three. I believe it was, said Starr won it, and he was going against Boise's Reed Pyron. And they had to go 4 holes, right? They tied the first 3, and then he finally got the best of them there on the 4th. And then I believe in the 5A girls, if I'm not mistaken, Arnzen, she was actually behind by a 1 shot on that final hole, going against Lewiston's Molly Sibley. I couldn't. Is it Sibley or Sibley going against her? And then she ends up catching her and taking the lead there on the final hole. So that's a huge thing, right? To be trailing on the last one, come in and come out on top to win it. So a little bit of drama involved to hold off and to get that clean sweep here for the Treasure Valley.
Yeah, and for Ella Arnzen to knock off Molly Sibley on her home course in Lewiston, very impressive. Outstanding job, because that's the course that Molly Sibley has played on probably 200 times in her life. Yeah.
And she beat her by 1 shot, right? And that final said that Sibley had the shot go into the water on the 18th. That's got to be a gut punch, though. Like your home course, you've got a 1-shot lead going into the final hole. You got to feel really good about it, and it's too bad. Sometimes that happens, though. It just takes a bad hook and or a slice, whatever, and goes into the pond, as they say. And well, not as they say, this one literally did. Congrats, though, to Arnzen to fight through, right? Come into the last hole down and not give up and come out with a win.
Yeah, really impressive stuff there from Ella Arnzen, and congrats to all of our golf champions as well on outstanding seasons. Logan, state soccer tournaments are like next week, or
I know
the week after. So we are hot and heavy into the district tournament action, and so bids are already being clinched and wrapped up on both boys and girls soccer. So what I'll do is, like we did last week, I'll put the district brackets up on the screen. So if you're watching the video version of this, you'll be able to see the brackets, maybe make your player full size so it's easier to see. If you're listening to the audio version of this on the IdahoSports.com website or wherever you download podcasts, it's all good. We've got all the district brackets on the homepage at IdahoSports.com, and you can follow along there as well. Let's start with boys soccer, Logan. And we'll start at the 5A SIC, where the championship is set. It is Rocky Mountain, the 1, versus Boise, the 3. Rocky beat Eagle 3-0 in the semis Monday night. And then Boise knocked off Timberline, the 2 seed, 3-1. So it's Rocky Mountain and Boise Wednesday night, 6:00, October 11th. We're recording this on Wednesday, so tonight we'll have a district champion. Both those teams already advanced to state, Logan. And then Tuesday night as well, last night in basically state qualifying matches, Timberline beat Centennial 2-0, and Eagle defeated Bora Bora defeated Eagle 3-1. So Bora and Timberline have also wrapped up spots. So Rocky, Boise, Timberline, Bora all clinched spots at state. Eagle and Centennial will have to try and win via state play-in matches.
And this is one, Brandon, I don't want to say I said so, but did I say Bora was a dark horse in this tournament?
Yes, you did.
Just curious if I did or not. Okay. All right. Okay. So they, they come through, right, and they win that initial game against Capital, which, kind of everybody expected. Close game with Boise. And then, after that, really it comes down to they beat who they were supposed to beat, right? They beat Meridian 1-0, and then they get into a 5-6 match, which is, kind of a toss-up. And they get the job done, and they punch a ticket to state. And we talked about it. Some of those play-in games may be a little more sure than others, right, based on who they're going to play. But you just don't want to take that chance because you just never know, right? You can play 80, you can play 78 great minutes and then have 2 hiccups, and you're at home watching state and instead of being there. So congrats to Bora for making the run, and we'll see. Hopefully, some of our Treasure Valley teams, Eagle and Centennial, can get there through the play-ins.
Yep. So Centennial will play either Highland or Madison. Those 2 are playing on Thursday to determine who takes second place from that district. And then up north, you've got Eagle having to play the second place team from up north. That is going to be either Coeur d'Alene or Lake City. Little crosstown flavor in the district championship up north today as well. Lake City is undefeated, so probably going to be.
Those teams are really good up there. So that's,
yes.
I mean, it's a huge win for Bora because you don't have to play one of those teams up there. This was the tough route, right? This was you were going to play probably a better opponent from up north, and it could be, like you said, Coeur d'Alene's undefeated, so more than likely Lake City, but they're no easy out either.
Yep, for sure. And so we'll see. Good luck to all of the boys soccer teams from the 5A. 5A SIC girls tournament also, Logan, pretty much set in stone. 1 versus 2 for the championship here. Boise and Timberline, they'll play Wednesday night at Mountain View in the district championship. Both have already moved on to state. Tight semis. Boise beat Hawaii 2-0. Timberline slipped past Eagle 1-0. Both Hawaii and Eagle then had to turn around and play on the consolation side of the bracket. Eagle gets the job done over the Cinderella 10 seed, Centennial, Logan. Centennial knocks out Rocky 1-0 in a loser-out game. They barely lose to Eagle 1-0, so Eagle has advanced to state. And then last night, another 6 seed, Mountain View, knocks off Hawaii 2-0. So congratulations to the Mountain View girls. They also move on to state. And now you've got Hawaii and Centennial fighting for their lives to get to state via play-in matches.
Yeah, this is just where you look and you say anything can happen, right? I mean, you look at this bracket, and we've talked about it all year long. These are some great teams, and Rocky Mountain is staying home. When's the last time that, it's tough. This conference is deep, and anybody can win on any night. Like you said, Centennial's a 10 seed. There was only 2 teams below them coming in. They had to play a play-in match to get over here, right? A 2-1 victory over Middleton. And then, of course, they lose that first game to Boise, but a tight one. They beat Rocky. They beat Eagle, and, they're doing just enough to win, and that's all it takes. And that would be a wild story. Centennial in the Cinderella area, that's where they seem to thrive, right? A couple years ago at state basketball, they sneak in. Then what do? They make a run to the state championship. I don't think anybody wants to play Centennial in any sport when they're hot like this, right? It's just historic, right? That they find a way to get it done in these situations.
Yeah, and so a little bit of drama in terms of who they're playing in the play-in match, Logan. It's already set. Centennial will play Lewiston at Lewiston High School. That's all predetermined. It just so happens that Lewiston is the team that's in the play-in match. Lewiston was the league champ up north, Logan, and they lost to Lake City, the 3 seed, last night in overtime. Lake City got the golden goal in overtime, and so Lake City, we know last year they were undefeated coming into state, had all this momentum, had a great season. We're down a little bit this year, came into districts as the number 3 seed, but man, good teams find a way, and Lake City gets the auto bid, and so now you've got a league champion in Lewiston with not much momentum taking on a Centennial team that's got all the momentum. This would be a huge upset.
Yeah, it would be, because like you said, they've been very good all season long, and it would be a big win. And like you said, momentum, does that play a factor that you've been winning and you're not even technically supposed to be here, right? You're having fun. You're having a state tournament game, and the other team is like, this is a business trip. We are here to win. And sometimes that favors the team that's more like, look where we are. They're more loose and more play their game rather than trying to play not to lose.
Yep. Waihe will take on either Madison or Thunder Ridge. Those two are playing in the 2nd and 3rd place match at their district tournament. Either way, it's going to be a tough draw for Waihe. The 4 seed coming into districts now having to win a state play-in match just to get there. Good luck to both Centennial and Waihe, and congrats to all of our teams, Boise, Timberline, Eagle, and Mountain View, for qualifying for state. All right, let's go 4A, Logan. The 4A district tournament and boys, Caldwell and Bishop Kelly. Nobody's surprised to see this. No. They'll play Thursday, October 12th at Columbia. Just as intriguing on the backside, Logan, today, Wednesday, October 11th, we have a pair of loser out matches, Valley View and Skyview, Ridgeview and Columbia. I got into a huge argument with our boss, Paul Kingsbury, yesterday about this bracket and how it's laid out. You'll notice that this bracket does not cross bracket the loser. So typically the team that loses up here, Skyview, would drop down here to play Columbia. So it's a new opponent, but the 4A SIC does not do that. So you've got rematches from the first round. Valley View and Skyview will play again. Columbia and Ridgeview will play again as well. Ridgeview is the number 4 seed. I got to change that. But anyways, I was right and Paul was wrong. That's the bottom line. Man, Paul thought it was cross bracketed. Yeah, right. So I don't like this though. I really don't. I do think it should be cross bracketed personally, but
yeah, it's kind of interesting the way that it gives the same matchup. What, a few days later? When did they play? On Saturday. So they play the exact same game again.
I will tell you, this happened over in District 4 as well. They did not cross bracket, and Jerome, both their boys and girls, after losing opening round matches, came around and beat the same team in the consolation side. So maybe it does favor that team that lost first. I don't know.
I mean, I think it does, Brendan. Look at it, right? So if you're Valley View, right, let's look at it from their point of view. To stay alive, they have to beat Skyview, and they have to beat them. That's who they have to beat, and then they beat a Columbia or Ridgeview. Skyview had to have beaten a tougher team to even stay alive. Theoretically, it's you go over there, take your loss, and come back. I think it does favor the team that lost. I mean, you don't want to lose. Yeah, you end up having to win 2 games, but they lost that first game, and now they can knock out this team that had to go play a tough. Yeah, does that make sense?
Yes,
I think you get it, and I don't know if you're listening and you understand what I'm saying, but
And we should note that in the opening round matchup, both of the lower seeded teams won. Number 6 Skyview beat number 3 Valley View 2-1. Number 5 Columbia beat number 4 Ridgeview 3-0. So the higher seeded teams are going to be very motivated, I think, to not lose to the lower seeded team once again. And so, and because the lower seeded teams won, we had some lopsided semis, right? Bishop Kelly beat Columbia 4-1. Caldwell beat Skyview 8-1. Caldwell and Bishop Kelly will play for the district championship. Winner of that automatically goes to state. Loser will play whoever survives the gauntlet on the backside of the bracket. And so we will see. Good luck. Valley View was a very good team during the regular season. If they went 2-0, that would be a big story. So
yeah, and no matter after all of that, you got to circle around and play either Caldwell or Bishop Kelly. So might not matter at the end of the day, but it's a tough path no matter how you cut it.
Bring your hard hat and your lunch pail. That's all I got to say there.
Yeah.
All right. Let's look at the 4A District 3 bracket here. So we've got 1 versus 2 in this championship as well. Logan, Bishop Kelly, and Valley View will play at BK Thursday night at 6:30. On the backside of the bracket, again, no cross bracketing. So you've got Caldwell and Columbia, the 3 and the 4, playing in a loser out match. Meanwhile, the 5 and the 6, Ridgeview and Skyview, will play in a loser out match. Caldwell lost to Skyview 2-1 in their tournament opener. Because of that, now they have to play the number 3 seed Columbia. Caldwell could be going 2-out here.
Yeah, and the 4 seed to go 2-out, that would be tough. I mean, one of the two, right? Columbia or Caldwell will be done right off the bat, and are going back this other way. Columbia with the win, they didn't lost to Valley View, but yeah, it's tough to see when a team is so good in the regular season and they get bumped real quick in a state or a district tournament.
And how about this opening round matchup between Columbia and Ridgeview last Saturday? Tied at 1-1, goes through the first overtime and the second overtime. Then it goes to penalty kicks, and it took 8 of them. Columbia won 8-7 on PKs.
That's crazy. It's a lot.
Yeah. That's a lot for Columbia's been on a bit of a roller coaster ride here at districts. We'll see how they do against Caldwell in loser out action. But Bishop Kelly and Valley View, winner will go to state. Loser will play whoever survives from the back half of the bracket. Should be interesting for sure.
When you get into like the 5th, 6th, 7th kick, that whole thing is a gut in your pit in your stomach, right? Like the whole time, because it's one bad kick, one fingertip, and it's over, right? And to keep doing that over and over and over. I said this before. I think that hockey and soccer have the golden goal, have some of the toughest overtimes to sit through, like as a fan or a dedicated fan, right? Because it's just like that and it's over.
Yep.
Like it can be in the blink of an eye, just one small thing goes wrong and it's over. In football, you can see it coming, right? You go down the field and they're going to punch this in and the game's going to be over, or they're going to kick a field goal and it's over. This is like boom, boom, oh, it's over. So
yeah, it's tough for sure. Yep. Good luck. Good luck to Bishop Kelly and Valley View as they play for the district championship. 3A Snake River Valley Conference. Logan. We've got McCall Donnelly as the district champ. That's not right. There we go. Okay. McCall Donnelly on the boys side is going to play Fruitland. 1 versus 3 here. Fruitland knocked out Payette, the 2 seed, last night, 4-2. McCall Donnelly beat Weiser 3-1 in the other semi. So you've got McCall Donnelly and Fruitland, 1 versus 3. Winner advances to state. Loser will have to play the 3rd place team from District 4, and that will be either Kimberly or Bliss, I believe, in a state tournament play-in match.
And you don't want to obviously do the play-in match, as we said that before, but these two teams, they split the regular season. Fruitland won the first matchup 2-1 at Fruitland, and then McCall Donnelly won the matchup in McCall. So this is not a given, right, to McCall Donnelly. We've been talking about them, that they should be that team at state, but it's not given. They lost to Fruitland during the season. Anything can happen, right? And then, like you said, if you lose, you have to go play somebody that, like if it's Bliss, they're right there by Jerome. It's basically a home game for Bliss. and you got to go down there and win a game. And if let's just say it's McCall Donnelly, that's a heck of a road trip to go on, and almost 4 hours to go play that play-in game.
Yeah, whether it's Kimberly or Bliss that you're playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a home game for them basically there at Jerome High School, for sure. So yeah, good luck to McCall Donnelly and Fruitland. They will play Thursday night in the district championship at 5:00. And on the girls' side, Logan, we've been talking about this all season. Fruitland and Homedale, here they come barreling down the tracks. Fruitland beat Weiser in the semis last night 4-0. This is in the girls' bracket now. Homedale beat McCall Donnelly 4-1. So Fruitland and Homedale, Thursday night, 5:00 in Fruitland. Same scenario here. Winner advances to state. Loser goes to a state play-in match against the runner-up from the north. That will be either Coeur d'Alene Charter or Bonner's Ferry. It'll be in Lewiston. So if you're Fruitland or Homedale, you're hoping that Bonner's Ferry qualifies for that, because then at least the travel is somewhat similar.
Sure. And this is it, right? We've seen these two. No one's won, right, between these two during the season. They tied each other back on October 3rd. I guess Fruitland did beat Homedale back in September, but this is the one that matters, right? This one right here is a trip to state, and man, it would be fun to see Homedale do it, but also Fruitland just trying to restake their flag in the ground right after last season, and that's always something to deal with, right? As well, a team that's been there, that's done that this isn't new to them, and they want it. They want to do it again. They don't want to lose after they did it last year, but then Homedale trying to get there for the first time.
Yeah, really fun matchup. This is going to be on Thursday night, Fruitland and Homedale 1 versus 2. Hey, Logan, we had postseason volleyball start this week. Most leagues get started this weekend, but that 1A D1 Western Idaho Conference is so big, 11 teams. They got to start the tournament early here, Logan. So this is the one postseason volleyball bracket that we'll look at today. We had play-in matches Monday night. For the most part, chalk. Number 6 Riverstone beat number 11 Gem State 3-2. Number 7 Idaho City beats number 10 Notice. And then the one quote unquote upset was number 9 Vision Charter over number 8 Centennial Baptist 3-2. So we had 2 of these matches go the full 5 sets, which means at least at the bottom of the league standings, a lot of parity, a lot of good competitiveness.
Yeah, and hopefully that translates into the district tournament, right? Into the regular round, I'll say. That some of these are close. Sometimes you get those 3-0 sweeps, and I think that doesn't necessarily fully prepare you as well for a state tournament, right? As if you go 3-2, you're working through a lot of stuff, learning how to win a tight game. So we'll see how it goes the rest of the tournament, but if the top part has any indication, the bottom part should be a fun next week, right?
Yeah, it should be really fun to see how it goes. So now you've got Wednesday night, tonight as we're recording this, Logan, the first round of matchups. Number 1 Greenleaf Friends against number 9 Vision Charter. Number 4 Rimrock against number 5 Wilder. Bottom half of the bracket is number 2 Liberty Charter against number 7 Idaho City. And then it's number 3 Victory Charter against number 6 Riverstone. There's so many teams, you have to actually scroll down on the page to see the bottom part of the bracket, Logan. Greenleaf comes in as the favorite here. We talked about them last week, 13-1 in the regular season, 10-0 in the league. Victory Charter and Liberty Charter both went 8-2 in league play this year. But Liberty Charter won the head-to-head matchup over Victory Charter 3-1. That's why the Patriots are the 2 seed and the Vipers are the 3 seed. So where did Liberty Charter stub their toe? Against Idaho City. They lost 3-1 at home against Idaho City in the regular season. So if you're looking for a little upset special, maybe the 7 over the 2.
And they just won 3-0 right over Notice. So they're hot right now, and they're looking good, and that could be a dangerous game. That would be a big upset right there, right off the bat on the first day of the tournament.
The top 2 teams automatically get to go to state. Third place will have a chance to play their way into state as well via a state tournament play-in match against the champion from District 1 up north. And that's going to be Wallace. I mean, I can just tell you right now, it's going to be Wallace. And Wallace is good. So no guarantees there. You got to go up to Grangeville to play that. So you definitely want to try and get one of those 2 auto bids if you can. But yeah, little district volleyball action. And then next week, Logan, we'll have lots of volleyball brackets to go over here on the Prepcast for sure. All right, let's duck out of here by talking some quick football highlights from the week that was. I mean, the big stories were Meridian beats Rocky Mountain 28-24 to wrap up the 5A SIC Foothills division. Rocky had taken a 24-21 lead with 2:52 to play. Colin Chapman threw a 46-yard touchdown pass to Tayshawn Reese on 4th and 10. So not only do you get the first down, you get the touchdown. Meridian, though, they've done this how many times over the last 3 years, Logan?
Yep.
They're down late. They march down the field. Zeke Martinez throws a 16-yard touchdown pass to Griffin Deere with 37 seconds to play. Meridian gets out of their 28-24 winners.
Yeah, huge win. That gives them, I mean, it's a big game, right? That automatically puts you in at the state tournament. That's it. And we've talked about this. There are a lot of good teams in the 5A SIC this year on both sides in the Rivers and the Foothills. And I just don't know if it is a 100% given either way. You know, Rocky now is going to be the 2. Obviously, they're going to play the lowest remaining seed on the other side. So you should win that game, but it has been weird this year in how, like, CUNA really early on Thursday, they played Hawaii, and they probably should have won that game. I don't know if you were watching it, Brandon, but we had the broadcast, and Hawaii we won it on 4th down. And there was on that drive, there was a call that was a little questionable, that kept the drive alive. But you know what? You do what you got in front of you, and they won the game. I just CUNA that's not a team that I think is just a pushover for anybody. So if you're Meridian, you say, I got my ticket to state. I'm good. You know, no matter what happens, obviously you want to win that. You want to win the district championship against Eagle when it comes, but your ticket is punched. And I think that's the most important thing. And you have a home game. You get a bye in the state tournament and you get a home game. I mean, it's huge to win that game over Rocky Mountain. Huge in terms of what your playoff scenario looks like.
Yeah, your top 3 in the Foothills division still are Meridian 1, Rocky 2, Middleton 3, and we think that's probably how it will finish. In the River division, Logan, you mentioned it. Hawaii barely beat CUNA last Thursday, 16-14. Matt Irwin throws 25-yard touchdown pass to Ryan Brecky with just 17 seconds to play to get the 16-14 win. Boise beats Bora in overtime, 29-28, and Boise was down late in this game, Logan.
They're another one. I saw some people, there was penalties there that on 4th down that kept Boise alive in the 4th quarter, and they get it done. Kind of crazy how they did it. They got it done, and they're probably going to finish 2nd now. Is that what it's looking like? You're the bracketologist over there.
Yes. Boise, I think, is pretty much locked up 2nd place. They win 29-28 in overtime. Basically, Bora scored. So Boise scored first in overtime, and they scored on their first play. Trevor Schoolfield threw a 10-yard touchdown to Jordan McDonald. Bora had the ball. Javon Nelson scores on a 10-yard run, and JQ Kenyon, the Bora coach, decides to go for 2, and the win doesn't get it. And so if Bora had won, that would have thrown, even with a loss, Boise still has the head-to-head over Mountain View, which is their closest team in the standings. And so I think Boise still would have been okay there. And I guess just overall, Eagle did beat Mountain View 28-14. So Eagle is your River Division champ. It'll be Eagle and Meridian in a rematch for the SIC championship game in 2 weeks. They played all the way back in the first week of the season, Logan. Eagle won that game 36-33. It was very close. And I guess I just have to get over it personally, where I've kind of been poo-pooing all these teams this year. Well, boy, Boise just keeps barely winning by the skin of their teeth, and Hawaii just keeps winning by the skin of their teeth. But they are winning. They're winning all these close games, and I think I have to adjust my thinking and go, okay, they keep winning, and it's not always pretty. They're always nail biters, but at some point you got to say, okay, job well done.
And it's easy to look at that, right? Like you see it in the NFL all the time. You'll see a team make the playoffs that won 6 of their games by one score, and all of a sudden they're 11-5 or whatever, 11-6. I don't know how the NFL has 17 games now. It confuses me. But then the next year they don't win those, and they're a losing team. So it's easy to see that, right? And say, well, if this had one play had gone differently, but if you win by 1 point and every game, if you're you play 8 regular season games, 4 playoff games, if your point differential for the season is plus 11, you can be the state champ, right? You just need to win every game by 1 point. And I just think the 5A SIC is really good. I really do. I mean, Meridian, Eagle, Rocky Mountain beat Coeur d'Alene earlier. Meridian went and beat Highland. Thunder Ridge played Middleton. I just think that the crossover games, not that is the same, right? But the crossover games have all gone the way of the Treasure Valley teams. And the games within, yes, Eagle beat Boise pretty handily in that game 2 weeks ago. But even if you look in the one, right, with Meridian only beat Middleton by 2 points, 2 or 3. Middleton's just a couple of points away from being that top seed, right? There's a lot of parity, and I'm curious to see when we get to state if maybe there's a little separation. That's personally what I think is going to happen. I think the SIC schools are gonna show they're gonna show a little bit of separation when it comes to it in the playoffs. So I'm excited to see that.
Interesting. See, I think the opposite. I think the 5A postseason is going to be the most wide open because everybody is so closely balanced together. Rocky did beat Coeur d'Alene. It was only 16-0. Coeur d'Alene turned the ball over 4 times. They've got a new quarterback now. They took their quarterback and who everybody said was the big time player.
Yeah,
they benched him and they went with Caden Simmons, sophomore, son of Corey Simmons, the basketball coach up at North Idaho College. And he's really lit a spark under these guys. So I'd be interested to see a rematch there. Meridian did go to Highland and win very close game, right? 1-score game there. Highland just beat Rigby basically in the final 2 minutes of the game. So I feel like all these 5A powers are really closely bunched together.
I guess I was talking more like I think that those initial games, I think the SIC wins them. But yeah, when you get into that middle ground, it's going to be, it's going to be a dogfight because I think there's a lot of good teams. I just think anybody in this group, and I said it a couple times, it could be Boise, it could be Mountain View, it could be Middleton, it could be Rocky. I would not be surprised if any of them are in the state championship. I think Eagle probably expects to be there, and they're the one team that I would look at and say, if they're not, if they don't win a couple of games, that was a disappointment. But I think everybody else it's all over the place, at least in the conference. That's how I'm looking at it, and I'm excited to see that tournament
for sure.
So many places around the state are just, who is going to be in the state championship. 1A D2 is one of them, right?
Yeah,
we pretty much know who's going to win that championship, and you can almost fill in your bracket now and figure it out. But 5A, it could be anybody. It could be anybody.
I don't know who's going to win the 1A D2 championship. I think I know who's going to play for it, and I think the 2 teams that get there are going to be pretty evenly matched. So we'll see. I think Kendrick and Camas County.
Yeah. It's going to be those two.
I think Camas County could beat Kendrick. I don't think I'm stepping out on.
Well, that would be fun. I would love to see it. I would love to see that happen.
Dietrich almost did it last year, so
it's true. That's true. When you get into a championship game, you just never know what can happen.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, back to the Treasure Valley, Logan.
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. 4A. I've got questions. I've got big time questions about Bishop Kelly, and this is. So you're our Treasure Valley expert, right? And I'm kind of bringing the perspective of the rest of the state. And for the last several years, there have been questions surrounding Bishop Kelly. We know that they are an impressive team. We know that they put up impressive win-loss records, but the question always comes up to, in the postseason, who did they really play? What was really their level of competition? I'm not sure the 4A SIC is a good conference. And so Bishop Kelly runs through everybody like a hot knife through butter. And then we've seen the past couple of years, they did get to the championship game last year where they fell flat against Skyline, but we've seen them lose to Century in the quarterfinals. We've seen them lose to Pocatello in the semis. So My question is BK good? I mean, they just beat Emmett 42-35. They had to really rally and win this game. I've got questions.
Yeah, I mean, so Emmett, that's their like they are coming for BK. That's who they want to beat BK. I mean, if Emmett plays their best game of the year, it's always going to be against Bishop Kelly. And Emmett is pretty clearly the second best team in the conference, but like you said, it's I mean, they went on the road, and I know Emmett's had some trouble with injuries, things like that. But they barely beat Blackfoot the beginning of the year, and Blackfoot hasn't won a game. They squeaked one out against Fruitland, who's a middle of the pack 3A team. Again, they had injuries. They had to play their wide receiver essentially as and I call him a substitute quarterback. He's not even he's not a backup quarterback. He's substituting in there. That's not his. He goes in there and he can do a lot, but it just that one surprised me. I thought Bishop Kelly would win that by a couple of touchdowns. And I think Emmett even had some leads throughout. It was really back and forth, that game was. And so, yeah, that one caught my eye. I mean, we saw what Bishop Kelly did a couple weeks ago against Burley, right, where they absolutely ran through them. But a lot of teams have done that this year, right? A lot of people have just kind of scored a lot of points on Burley. And so really outside, I mean, yeah, they beat Capital. Is that who they played this year? They beat Capital by a lot, but again, is that Capital would probably be would compete just fine in the 4A SIC. That's not a knock on them. It's just the truth. So you're right, Brandon. I don't know how this is going to shake up when we get to the state tournament, because a lot of people have them ranked, I mean, number 1 in the state right now, with Hillcrest right there. Them and Hillcrest 1 and 2. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Maybe
we'll find out. We'll find out in the playoffs, right?
I think the 4A, it's very top heavy, right? You have some really good teams at the top. You've got mostly from the Treasure Valley, or not Treasure Valley, excuse me, the Magic Valley, and then Eastern Idaho. Sandpoint is not as dominant as they have been in the past, but you've got Twin Falls is really good. Canyon Ridge is 5-1. Or 6-1, whatever they're at. Minico hasn't lost to an Idaho team. Skyline's always good. Shelley's looking really good this year. Pocatello looks really good. I don't know. I don't know how they compare to those teams. We probably won't find out the first week of the playoffs, but we might the second or third.
Yeah, we'll see. It's going to be very interesting, and I have questions, and they won't get answered until we're in the playoffs, unfortunately. Wanted to give a quick shout out to Valley View and Caldwell. They played their rivalry game at Simplot Stadium, College of Idaho, which is cool. Valley View won 70-25. Logan, they rushed for 604 yards as a team in the win. So congrats to Valley View there, but it's kind of cool that they're bringing that game back to Simplot Stadium. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a great stadium. It's a great place to play a football game. So that's a fun event for them.
Yep. 3A, the big game, Logan. You were at it. Homedale and Weiser. Homedale builds up a 14-0 lead. Dylan Fine throws a 52-yard touchdown pass to Luke Henry, and then Andrew Marston scores on a 4-yard run. And then Homedale doesn't score again until almost the end of the game. Weiser battles back down 14-0 in the second half. Colin Cook intercepts Dylan Fine and takes it back 20 yards for a pick six. That's one quarterback picking off another. Yep. Caleb Grove scores on a 1-yard run to tie the game up at 14 early in the fourth. And there's 5 minutes to go. Homedale has the ball at their own 3. And they march down the field actually in pretty quick order here, right? And then Dylan Fine finds Raphael. How do you say his last name? Quinza.
We have to ask Paul.
Okay. Anyways,
we both were like, we weren't 100% sure on it, but yes.
Well, somebody from Homedale can let me know if it's Cuenca or Quinza. But 1:30 to play. Homedale gets the game-winning touchdown, and then Weiser gets the ball back. And after Cook had picked off Fine picks off Cook.
Yep. Picked him off to seal the game. And it's a very interesting game. So it's weird for me. So I was at Garden Valley. I had a 3:30 game there, and their fourth quarter, we could probably talk about it for a minute or two, took like 8,000 hours.
Yeah.
And so as soon as that was over, I rushed over to help out with that game. And so I was watching it, while I was listening to it as I was driving. Just had, just had it on, listening to what was going on. And Homedale came out strong and was really in control. But that second half, I mean, Weiser, it seemed like they had all the momentum. Their defense showed up. And Paul said this on the broadcast. It's almost like Weiser spotted them 14 points, kind of quick right there off the bat, because they played really good defense throughout. And I don't know if Homedale, it was just, I mean, Weiser only scored one offensive touchdown at the end of the day. I thought they had the momentum in the second half, but at the end, they only had the one offensive score. One of them was a pick six that they got, and they really struggled outside of the one drive to move the ball. Weiser is run. They want to run, and Homedale is very good against the run, and it was tough. It was tough for them to stretch it. It was tough to go up the middle. They got it going enough to get the one drive and score, and they did it right. They got the pick six. They stop Homedale. They get the ball back, and so the juices are flowing. They get there. And then Homedale is almost like, guys, what are you doing? Okay, fine. We're done with this. Let's go out and score it in this game. But we talked about this on the broadcast. Essentially, this game is probably for home field advantage throughout the playoffs, right? That game is going to determine who's at home. That game determines who gets to host the other, more than likely, in the state semifinals, because it happened last year. More than likely, Weiser will finish third in the Max Preps rankings. It is what it is. They'll probably both win out, and then they'll be on the same side of the bracket, and one of them will go to the state championship, and one will be out. Just again, I know I'm taking a way deep look into the future, but that from historically, that's what's happened, and so it's a big win for Homedale to get that and secure what could be in the future a home rematch in the playoffs. But it was an awesome environment. It was packed. There was people all around the field. The opposite bleachers were full. It was a great environment on Friday night in Homedale.
Yeah, a really fun game, and like you said, probably a rematch coming here at some point. So we'll keep an eye on that.
Yeah.
Let's go to 2A football. Logan, Nampa Christians 3-0 in the Western Idaho Conference. Melba is 2-0. They play in the regular season finale. That game will more than likely decide the WIC title, which means basically a top 5 seed. Loser of that game is still comfortably into the playoffs. So you can mark it down. Melba, Nampa Christian, both securely into the playoffs. Yeah. Nampa Christian has a bye this week. Melba's playing New Plymouth. I wanted to talk about Marsing because what Shea McClellan has done in 2 short years with this Marsing football program is incredible. They were leading Melba in the fourth quarter last week, Logan, 16-14. Melba had to rally late. Ryland Frank scores the game-winning touchdown and 2-point conversion to get the win, 22-16. But this is a Marsing team that is 4-3 overall. They're 1-2 in the conference. They've lost to both Nampa Christian and Melba. They've got a real shot at finishing in third place here, and they are right on the cut line to get into the playoffs. They would be the first team out right now in the bracketology. They trail Ryrie for the last playoff spot by basically 1 point in the Max Preps rankings. I really hope, it would be cool to see both make it, right? Ryrie and Marsing, because those are 2 programs that have been down on their luck for a really long time. Right. But man, it would be something to see Marsing make the playoffs. I really hope they get in.
Yeah, and they only have 1 game left on the schedule, Coal Valley Christian, this week. And so it's a big game for them. If they can get it done, they're just gonna have to sit and wait and hope Ryrie loses. But like you said, either one of them would be good to see. But from our point of view here in the Treasure Valley, we cross our fingers for Marsing to get that done. But Ryrie finishes. They've got a game with West Jefferson, and then North Fremont. So probably a loss in there to North Fremont potentially. So we'll just, it could, like you said, could come down to those 2 right there on the line. And it could come down to if they're able to take care of business here against Coal Valley Christian.
Yeah, and it's all the things you would expect from a Shea McClellan team: hard-nosed defense, tough running game. Zion Fleary is one of the best running backs that nobody's talking about. Every week he's putting up over 100 yards and scoring a couple touchdowns. And so they've got this really good thing going in Marcin. A good chance to finish with a winning record too, or even if they were to lose the finale, they'd be 500, which is incredible.
Well, here's the thing, Brandon. They beat two 3A schools, right? Payette and Parma. And I know those are not the best teams in the state, but those are 3A schools that they beat, right, on their schedule. Their three losses are to Wendell, who is playing very well this year by less than a score, or by 8, so 1 score. They lost to Nampa Christian, who is, we just talked about them being undefeated, in conference. And then and then they lost to Melba, where a game that they were leading in the fourth quarter. So they're really not that. They're just not that far off. I feel like I think maybe I'm surprised to see them that low in the Max Preps rankings. Personally, I would be disappointed if they finish the season here, right? So if Marcin wins this week, they'll be 5-3. And let's just say Ryrie finishes at 3-4. I would be disappointed to see a team with a losing record get in over Marcin.
Happened in New Plymouth 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So they had a better overall record and got squeezed out by Soda Springs, I think, that went like 2-6.
Yep. Yeah, and that's where we've talked about this ad nauseum, right? Where we need, I think, some sort of human element that can look at this and say, yeah, you didn't have a winning record. I'm sorry. Your conference is tougher, but Boston College isn't making the NCAA tournament because they play in the ACC with an 8-20 record. It just that doesn't happen. So,
yeah. 2 quick notes on Marcin, and then we'll move on. Marcin, in the last 4 years combined, Logan had 4 wins. So they can match in 1 year what they've done in the last 4 years. The last time Marcin had a winning season, 2013, they went 5-3. Here we are 10 years later.
Man, that's a long time. That's a long time to go without having a winning record. Tough for the community, tough for the kids. And again, we've said this before, that it's hard when, on Fridays, people like I live in Middleton, right? Middleton is generally good. And when I go cover a game, my son wants to go, and there's tons of kids there, and they all like, oh, I want to play for Middleton one day, because they built a culture around. They're not, they I don't think they won a state championship. I don't know, but they've always been, perennial playoff team every year. And so people know that they can come to expect to win, the kids, right? And then that's where that grows, right? They want to play. I want to play football at 11, 12, 13 years old. I want to practice so that I can play there. And that doesn't happen when teams are losing. It's not, you don't get as much of that, right? You don't get as much of like that pride or sense of, I want to do that, if your team's always getting beat, and so hopefully this helps the younger generation at Marcin too. And like you said, Shea McClellan, if any, you would expect this, right? When you get a nice name like that coming in to coach your team, a former NFL Super Bowl champion coming in, and it was only a matter of time, right, that he was going to eventually get that thing turned around down there. And kudos to them. Great job for Marcin. It's been a great year the last little bit for Marcin, right? Their baseball team almost won the state championship, and now the football team is on the verge of state tournament as well.
Yeah, it's awesome to see. So great job, Coach McClellan and Marcin. Nobody is talking about that.
No.
In other media. And so I just wanted to give some time and shed some light. And Zion Fleary, seriously, best player nobody's talking about in the Treasure Valley. Okay, let's talk about 8-man football. There's nothing to talk about. A 1A D1. Notice is going to win that league. You've got Rimrock taking on Idaho City in the regular season finale in 2 weeks. That will determine the second auto bid. Kind of a cool note, though, and shout out to Will Henneke, our Idaho 8-man expert here at IdahoSports.com. Ronaldo Gomez, the quarterback, defensive back, kicker, punter, kick returner. He does everything for Rimrock. With a couple of strong games to close out the year, Logan, there's a good chance he could finish with 1,000 yards passing and 1,000 yards rushing.
Man, that's awesome. And I know if you don't follow football too closely at the high school level, that's a big feat. They don't play as many games as they do in the NFL and college, so you don't have as much time to put up those 3,000 yards passing, 1,000 on the ground in 8 games is phenomenal. And then to do it through the air as well, huge accomplishment if he can get that done.
And he's a great kicker too. He made like a 35-yard field goal last year for Rimrock.
Yeah.
So Ronaldo Gomez, he's only a junior too, so we'll get to see him for one more year as well for the Rimrock Raiders. 1A D2, Logan. You've got this collision course, right? It's Garden Valley and Council. They're both 3-0 in the conference. They are playing this Friday on IdahoSports.com in a game that will more than likely determine the long pin title.
Yeah, and last week, it's funny, if you look at this bracket, you never want to lose a game, right? But if you lose, you're on the not Kendrick side of the bracket. just an interesting tidbit. But Garden Valley's offense is fun to watch, Brandon. I was there last week, and they can score, and they also kick extra points and field goals. Their kicker, they call him Timo. I'm not sure if that's his first name or his last name, but on the roster, Coach Yearsley was like, "This is Timo," and in the press box, they're like, "Yeah, it's Timo." He's a foreign exchange student from Germany that is in Garden Valley, and he never had played football before, and he is the kicker for Garden Valley. And I almost didn't catch it, but he came out and booted an extra point on their first field goal, and he kicked, unless they needed to go for 2, they kicked an extra point, Garden Valley did, and he was knocking them through, and one of the extra points, it would have been good from 35 or 40 yards. I'd like to see him line up for a field goal. So something to keep in mind, if it's Garden Valley and they need a field goal, they might take the opportunity to kick it with Timo, their foreign exchange student from Germany. So that was cool to watch. But yeah, like you said, they get the job done against Horseshoe Bend. Garden Valley might finish with one of the toughest schedules in Division II. Right now they've got Council, and then they got to play Tri-Valley, and that's going to determine kind of where they sit in things. And this is a de facto conference championship game on Friday afternoon.
Yep. So Will Henneke does the weekly Idaho 8-man 3-stars column for us every weekend. Early on in the season, he had a little tidbit about Timo in there. So his name is Timo Benzinger, and he's from Germany, like you said. He only started kicking after Garden Valley's regular kicker, Peyton Williamson, suffered a season-ending injury. And so really week 3 against Castleford is when Timo really started kicking. And so, and he's new to football and new to all of this. So they're playing Castleford, and they score a touchdown, and Jason Yearsley, the Garden Valley coach, is yelling, "Timo, Timo," because Timo doesn't know, oh, I'm supposed to go in and kick now. The crowd picked up on it and started chanting, "Timo, Timo, Timo." And they did it every time he went out to kick. He's become a folklore hero over there in Garden Valley.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. He got out there and booted that thing. And in the box, he couldn't have said nicer things about him.
Yeah.
Just great. I mean, Garden Valley has a lot of interesting storylines. Well, Trevor Korn, Friday was his birthday, and he rushed for 6 touchdowns in that game. Huge performance in that one for him. And he's a big guy. He is a Mike Allstott fullback. He's not a running back. He's a fullback. And when they line up in the eye, he's the second guy. He's not the third in line. He lines up right in the middle. And he was just playing. There was multiple times he had guys on his back, and he would just roll right through them. So it was kind of funny to see on that aspect. But and then also a story, Zaid Thompson, right, for Garden Valley. He had an accident earlier this year where he Coach Yearsley said he don't think he lost a finger, but he lost some the lawnmower definitely won the battle between Zaid Thompson and the lawnmower. And he lost parts of his fingers in the line. I don't know the full story. That's what I was told. And so he ran cross country for the beginning of the year because he could not he couldn't go out and play football yet. And all he did was break school records running cross country this year. So he's been running cross country, and then he finally got back into playing football. And in this game, he had a huge play. Horseshoe Bend, towards the end of the first half, it was a decently close game, had a huge play down the sideline, was going to go, and Zaid caught up to him and tackled the wide receiver around the 3 or 4 yard line. Horseshoe Bend ends up fumbling 2 plays later, and Garden Valley takes over, no score to close the gap. So a huge play for him coming back from his his fingers being cut off by a lawnmower. So not all his fingers again. I was told bits and pieces. So either way, it's not a fun experience, I'm sure. But I just thought that was a great story, right? He has that injury, so he says, "What can I do? Oh, I can run cross country. I guess I don't need my fingers for that." And then he goes and he just sets a school record in the process. So congrats to him and getting back on the football field there for Garden Valley.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, you mentioned Trevor Corn, the birthday boy, 156 yards, 6 touchdowns on offense. He also led the defense with 18 tackles and a sack. Tacoma Kelly, of course, at quarterback, dual threat, doing his thing. And then on the other side, you've got Council, Logan. And Council beat Cascade 42-0 last week. Garden Valley beat Horseshoe Bend 57-42. Most of Horseshoe Bend's points came in that fourth quarter. It was 33-14 in the fourth quarter. And like you said,
just kept scoring.
Yes,
forever.
But Council likes to ground and pound too. They've got a fullback, Mason Roberts, and a running back, Dalton Bingham, that can just, no matter who's running the rock, it's like a wrecking ball coming through. And then what they do is they hit you over the top with these deep play action passes. And they've got a sophomore quarterback, Owen Hatfield, and he's become quite proficient at throwing the deep ball, whether it's Garrison Zielinski or Decker McLinn, or sometimes it's even one of the backs, Roberts or Bingham, that's coming out of the backfield and going downfield. Council is you'll look at their overall record and go, hey, whatever. And my media colleagues that vote in the polls with me sometimes don't look at the bigger picture. They just look at the records.
Clearly, because they keep putting Melba behind North Fremont. But
yes.
Anyway.
But I've had Council in my top 5 all year because they've challenged themselves. They've played a tough schedule, and yeah, they've taken it on the chin against some good teams. But don't sleep on Council; they're a very good team. So it's going to be a really fun game Friday night.
Well, it's like, who did they lost to Kendrick, right, to start the year?
Yes. So they're 4-3 overall.
But they lost to Butte County, one of the top 5 1A D1 teams, and Kamei, another top 5 1A D1 team, and Kendrick, the number 1 team in the state who hasn't lost in like 3,000 years. So that is probably one of the most brutal. You're right. I think you look at the record at face value and say, but no. Much different level of competition there.
And that's why you tune into the Treasure Valley Prepcast,
right.
Because we know the inside info. The other big game is Tri-Valley and Horseshoe Bend, Logan. Basically, the winner of this game is probably going to get that third and final playoff spot from the conference. Tri-Valley had a bit of a wild game against Lewis County. They win 62-56. Tri-Valley's got the ball inside the 5. The clock is running. They are calling timeout. They don't have a timeout. The official hesitates for a moment to spot the ball. Tri-Valley snaps it as time expires, and sophomore quarterback Chase Wagoner scores on a 3-yard touchdown run to walk it off, 62-56.
Man, yeah, just barely getting the snap off. And do you get a penalty like in basketball? You get a technical foul if you call a timeout. Do you get a flag, or they just ignore you?
Yeah.
Clearly, in this situation, they just ignored it. But man, huge win for Tri-Valley, because if you get that done, you beat a team ahead of you, or not ahead of you, but outside of your conference, and that I think a lot of people are high on Lewis County this year. So a big non-conference win for them. So yeah, like you said, maybe that it pretty much will decide more than likely who finishes in third.
And there's a lot of toys in the toy box for each of these teams. Carson Drake and Kalen Jones, the great running back for Horseshoe Bend, and for Tri-Valley, they've got They've got Clayton Harper at 6'2", a wide receiver, the reigning 100-meter dash champion in 1A track and field. They've got Gage Warren, who's a dynamic athlete. Wagoner, the trigger man, is only a sophomore. Scoreboard operator, get ready. There's going to be a lot of points in that game. That's going to be a lot of fun for sure. So it'll be interesting to see as we progress here. Logan, we've gone super long again here on the Prepcast, but we had postseason volleyball, soccer, golf to talk about, plus just a lot of big football stuff that we're at the point of the year where it's hard to gloss over things because it's all so important.
Yeah, it's not the beginning where it's, well, we'll see how it goes next week, but now it's like big stuff is going on and big decisions are being made on the field.
Yeah. So, big game Saturday night, college football, Montana and Idaho. Our bet, the loser has to buy a plushie mascot of the opposing team. I like this bet. We'll see who won the bet on next week's edition of the Treasure Valley Prepcast, Logan. Have fun in Garden Valley Friday.
Yeah, it should be fun. If you've never been, Garden Valley has got to be a top 5 place to do a game. Absolutely gorgeous. Like the mountains all around you. There's a huge mountain right behind the field. It is a great site there, and it's supposed to be another just perfect blue sky day up there on Friday. So it should be a fun day for football for the de facto District 3 championship game on Friday afternoon.
Going to be a lot of fun. So for Logan Green, I'm Brandon Baney, and we will see you next time on the Treasure Valley Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.